For decades, Vince Neil has been the face and voice of Motley Crue. His high-pitched wails, wild stage antics, and larger-than-life persona helped catapult the band into becoming one of the most iconic names in hard rock and heavy metal. But behind the flashing lights, screaming fans, and multi-platinum records, Neil's life has been a constant battle. From addiction to personal tragedy, from career highs to heartbreaking lows, and most recently, serious health struggles that many fans didn't realize were this severe. Vince Neil's story is far more complicated than the glitz and glamour of the Sunset Strip. In recent years, whispers about Neil's declining health have grown louder. Fans have noticed his struggles during live performances, his difficulty maintaining stamina on stage, and the emotional weight he carries in interviews. But what few truly understand is just how deep and far-reaching these health struggles really are. Vince Neil's battle is not just about age or the wear and tear of decades in rock and roll. It's about addiction, loss, physical injuries, and the kind of internal pain that no amount of fame or money can shield you from. When Mötley Crüe burst onto the scene in the early 1980s, Vince Neil's unique voice became instantly recognizable. His sharp, piercing high notes cut through the thunder of guitars and drums, giving Crue their signature sound. Songs like Shout at the Devil, Looks That Kill, and Kickstart My Heart wouldn't have been the same without Neil's electrifying delivery. But the very talent that made him famous also came with a cost. Singing night after night at that intensity took a toll on his vocal cords. By the time the 1990s rolled around, Neil's voice had begun to show wear. Critics often hammered him for struggling to hit notes live, something that only intensified as the years went on. Fans, however, remained loyal, understanding that few singers could still belt out those songs with the same fire decades later. Behind the scenes, though, Neil was suffering physically. Years of screaming at the top of his lungs, mixed with a hard partying lifestyle, left his body battered. And it wasn't just his voice that was breaking down. For many rock legends, the glory days of excess, drugs, alcohol, and constant touring eventually lead to long-lasting health issues. Vince Neil was no exception. His battles with alcohol became headline news time and time again, especially after a tragic incident in 1984 when he drove drunk, resulting in a crash that killed Hanoi Rocks drummer Nicholas Razzle Dingley and severely injured two others. Neil served jail time and spent years under public scrutiny, but alcohol remained a part of his life. As years passed, the consequences of that lifestyle became more evident. Neil's weight fluctuated dramatically, and his physical endurance diminished. Fans at concerts began noticing that he was winded, skipping lyrics, or relying heavily on the crowd to sing parts of songs. Videos circulated online, often ridiculing him, but what many didn't realize was that Neil wasn't just slacking off, his body was failing him. Perhaps one of the most devastating blows to Vince Neil's health wasn't physical at all, but emotional. In 1995, Neil's daughter Skylar was diagnosed with cancer. She was only 4 years old when she tragically passed away. The loss destroyed Vince on a personal level, and he has admitted in interviews that he never truly recovered. The emotional pain of losing a child pushed him deeper into destructive habits. Drinking became a coping mechanism, and depression haunted him for years. Even though Neil later started the Skylar Neil Memorial Fund, raising millions for children's cancer research, the grief left a permanent scar on his heart and his health. Stress, depression, and addiction often go hand in hand, and Neil was caught in that cycle for decades. In the 2000s and 2010s, Vince Neil's health became a topic of public scrutiny. As he gained weight and lost stamina, critics were quick to call him out, often cruelly. But behind the headlines was a man struggling with aging in an industry obsessed with youth and perfection. Neil tried to turn things around several times. In 2011, he underwent a publicized weight loss journey, shedding pounds to improve his health and stage performance. Yet the battle with weight is ongoing, especially when tied to deeper issues like addiction and depression. Every gain or loss brought new challenges, and the stress of performing at a high level only added to the burden. In October 2021, Neil made headlines again after collapsing on stage during a solo performance in Tennessee. He had only been a few songs into his set when he fell and was unable to continue. Reports later revealed that he had broken his ribs, an injury that is extremely painful and difficult to recover from, especially for someone expected to perform physically demanding shows. This incident was a wake-up call for many fans, showing just how fragile Neil's health had become. While he eventually recovered, it highlighted a bigger issue. His body could no longer withstand the punishment of rock and roll the way it once did. By the time Motley Crüe announced their massive comeback tour alongside Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett in 2022, speculation about Neil's ability to perform was everywhere. Fans worried if he could keep up with the grueling schedule, and while he made it through, the effort was clearly taking a toll. Vince Neil has openly admitted his ongoing battles with alcohol. Though he has tried to cut back, the lure of old habits remains. Addiction is not something that ever fully goes away. It's a lifelong fight. Alcohol doesn't just impact energy levels and performance. It damages the liver, affects the heart, and weakens the immune system. Combined with the physical wear from decades of touring, it's a dangerous cocktail. Those close to Neil have expressed concern for years that unless he fully committed to sobriety, his health would continue to decline. Fans have noticed a significant change in Neil's voice in recent years. Where once he could hit searing high notes, now he often struggles to get through entire songs. Some critics argue that he has given up trying, while others believe he's doing the best he can with a voice that has simply worn out after 40 years of abuse. But Neil's vocal struggles aren't just about aging. Years of drinking, smoking, and inconsistent training have contributed to the decline. Vocal cords are delicate, and when pushed beyond their limits for decades, they can become permanently damaged. Neil has reportedly sought vocal coaching and medical help, but even the best efforts may not be enough to restore what's been lost. One of the lesser-discussed aspects of Vince Neil's health struggles is the emotional toll of living under constant public scrutiny. Few celebrities have been ridiculed as publicly as Neil, especially in the age of social media. Videos of his off-key performances often go viral, with fans and critics mocking him relentlessly. This kind of ridicule can exacerbate depression and self-destructive behaviors. For a man already dealing with the weight of personal tragedy, addiction, and physical decline, the constant negativity only deepens the struggle. Mötley Crüe has always been known for its resilience. Time and time again, the band has reunited, fought through scandals, and come back bigger than ever.